Brené Brown says, "You're imperfect, you're wired for struggle, but you're worthy of love and belonging." And with that, we're kicking off episode 25. You are important. So welcome, and I hope you enjoy this episode. And the reason I kicked off with Brené Brown is she is an expert on all things worthiness, vulnerability, and all those human emotions that sometimes cause us to stumble in life. And I'm actually also going to end with a quote from her. So, again, welcome. And this is going to be a good topic today, because I think the root of many of our problems lies in that we feel unworthy. And understanding where this unworthiness comes from can be one of the most difficult research projects into our psyche. It often started way before we can remember, with actions and words from people near to us that affected us in some traumatic way. And later we sometimes continue the spiral that started unconsciously, either consciously by the environments we expose ourselves to, or subconsciously by what we think and tell ourselves. Life is a journey where we are always challenged to prove our worth. Advancement in school, acceptance to social circles, applying for and succeeding in jobs, partnerships, and throughout all of life, there's an endless array of tests. Some are formal, others are less so, possibly self-imposed. Failure, rejection, or disapproval in any of these areas can lead to deep disappointment. And how we handle this disillusionment can often be traced back to what happened in the early years of our life. I'm not a psychologist or a psychoanalyst. I don't want to pretend to be one. So my foray into the unconscious ends here, unfortunately. My focus with this podcast is to help you get out of whatever's holding you back. My emphasis is on the here and now, and how to move through challenges in the present moment. And the feeling of unworthiness is a major obstacle for many, holding them back from some of the success they could accomplish otherwise. We often tend to make our worthiness dependent on others' expectations, and then our judgment about whether or not we can meet them. Sometimes these conditions are imagined, made up by our mind. Either way, we basically allow others to decide whether or not we have value. We hand over control. We give others power over us, often without realizing it. And the fear associated with the negative consequences of not being deemed valuable causes us stress, anxiety, depression, and many other negative feelings. Healing from this can sometimes be a long journey and may require the help of a professional. Sometimes, intense pain through heartbreak or loss wakes us up and we realize how our own feelings of worth contributed to it. But sometimes it doesn't have to be so bad, and we just need a shift in mindset. So if you resonate with some of this, if you think you struggle with recognizing your value, then the main task that lies ahead of you is to rein control back in. And that is easier said than done. I realize that. So here are a few thoughts that I want to put out there for you to consider. And just think about them. Life doesn't happen to you. You have the power to change it every day. Realize that other people and events are only as powerful as you allow them to be. Your worthiness and your happiness should never be dependent on anything outside of you, whether that's money, things, a person, or a certain life situation. And since we can't eliminate many of the outside influences, we need to do the work on ourselves. Can't avoid money, can't avoid some of the people that cause us harm. We can't lock ourselves away, so we have to learn how to manage it. And if you have listened to my podcast for a while, you know that all roads always lead back to yourself. So let's focus on what I call up-leveling your mindset, because that's where it all starts. And most importantly, with that, you need to get rid of the negative self-talk that often accompanies this feeling of unworthiness. You see, it originates with your thoughts. We discussed this on previous episodes. Your thoughts tell you all sorts of things, and you need to shut them off. Or a better strategy is you need to redirect them. So first, the focus on the other person or situation needs to be lessened and come back inward. You're placing way too much emphasis on the outside, on him or her, or on them, or on this. It needs to come back to you. Understand that you cannot control outside events, nor people. Just imagine how complex you are on the inside. And now imagine trying to read another person and predict every step they take. It's impossible. And second, start looking at all the things that are great about you. Not the outside world, you. I remember when times were tough for me, I reached out to my friends and they came out of the woodwork. All sorts of places. Friends I had forgotten about. I actually never thought I had that many friends. So I wrote down their names in my phone. I just wanted to see. And I was amazed how long the list was. And this gave me strength because I felt blessed, having so many great friends. So count your blessings and write them down. Write down all the great things about you and your life. And this may take time. Sometimes, especially when we're depressed, we say, oh, there's nothing good about my life. So come up with one thing, and then maybe tomorrow you add more to it. Keep the list with you, and as you notice things, take stock and write them down. It's a loop. Helping recognize how blessed you are gives you strength, which in turn helps lessen the need to look for outside recognition. You need to learn to value yourself. It requires a strong inner core that some people innately have and others have to work on. But it's the basis of your emotional well-being. So in addition to negative self-talk, there's often blindness or a discoloring of your world. You're not seeing things for what they are. If people are hurting you or you're hurting yourself, and you're excusing that, or blaming yourself, then you have loosened your boundaries a bit too much. Again, you have handed over control. If you're too dependent on the approval of others, my suggestion is to create some distance first. The inner work I encourage you to do is difficult, and it's even more difficult if you constantly face the situation. I'm sure you have heard the phrase to love yourself, and I've always found this a little bit too abstract. What does it really mean to love yourself? Well, the answer is it means many things. But loving yourself is really the end result after you do the work. And the work starts with first gaining some control of your thoughts. Because your thoughts have gone out of hand. You've lost control. You've lost control over yourself and ultimately your thoughts. Because you're giving in to your thoughts. They go certain directions and you just go with them. You're not controlling them. Like you're a passenger in a car. And the first step in this process to get control of your thoughts is to focus on what's good. Your brain has been conditioned to focus on the negative. So you need to practice redirecting it a little bit. And the way to do it is you're looking at the good, focusing on a few good things every day and being appreciative. You see, what I like about this process is that it's very logical. There's no woo-woo going on with all this focusing on positive and just thinking of positive things. Not feeling worthy is illogical because there's no measure or test in this world that determines worthiness. It's something you came up with, something your mind led you to believe. It's your own measurement that you created. The thing is, your worth is unconditional and it's guaranteed. It's intrinsic. It cannot be measured or judged by anybody. The minute you entered the world, you got the stamp of being worthy to be part of the human community on this planet. So all the random thoughts you picked up along the way that got you to this point of not feeling good enough, you need to dismantle them and you need to get back to basics. There isn't really anything you need to do to be worthy. You just need to get rid of the false beliefs that you build up. I call this up-leveling your mindset from its current to the next level. Start controlling your thoughts about yourself. And specifically it was episode 9 that I talked about, recognizing your thoughts and the power they can have. I encourage you to listen to it. So today, begin to value yourself. And like I always say, start small. Find something you love about yourself. Write it on a sticky note and put it on your bathroom mirror. And please do something else. Smile at yourself once in a while today. Just give yourself a little smile as you head out to work in the morning and you check your makeup in the mirror, or you check your hair or your suit. Look at yourself in the face and smile. You deserve it. Because remember, you are important. You just may not see it. And just because you cannot see it doesn't mean it's not the case. So make an effort today to get back to yourself, your inner strength and your inner power. And slowly get your worthiness back. You are worthy and you don't need other people to prove it to you. And like I promised, I'm ending with a quote from Brené Brown. Owning our story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. Embracing our vulnerabilities is risky, but not nearly as dangerous as giving up on love and belonging and joy. The experiences that make us the most vulnerable. Only when we are brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover the infinite power of our light. With all my love, wishing you an amazing day.